Man, what a game. I can't wait to see where the series goes next.
Yeah, I feel like Retro really conquered the 2D platforming genre. Wonder if they'll go for a 3D game next.
Whatever it is, I can't wait to play it.
10 years later.
Hey, Michael! There's a new Donkey Kong game! They're bringing Donkey Kong Country Returns to the Switch!
Donkey Kong. I don't think there is a singular person in the world who doesn't recognize the leader of the bunch. Some might even say, we know him well. While there has been a faint, lingering pulse on the franchise over the last decade in between games, I can't help but feel like our favorite ape is getting swallowed up by his more successful spin-off. I'm of course talking about Super Mario. Donkey Kong rides carts with him, goes to the occasional party, and helps him sell movie tickets. Now, while I don't mind crossovers, it seems like Nintendo Corporate is starting to think of DK as something to spice up a Mario project, rather than continue his own legacy. Up until very recently, most Donkey Kong merchandise was branded with a Super Mario tag, and when LEGO branched into Donkey Kong sets, it was in the form of a Mario accessory. For many of you, this is all you have known. Donkey Kong is the funny guy from Mario Kart, but back in my day, the glory days, Donkey Kong had his own racer.
Hey, where's Donkey Kong?
He had his own 3D platforming game, his own established enemies, lore, and locales. But in the last 2 generations, he didn't even get his own line of amiibo. DK's entire identity has been stripped down into Mario Party and Donkey Kong Country Returns. All the new LEGO sets are so conjoined to Returns that I'm surprised Dixie even made the cut. Even at Universal Studios, there's no Kremlings, no funny bears, or a guy walking around in a clubber suit. No! The store that's open in Japan is kind of bland. Now look, I say this with all due respect to the Professor Chops fans out there. But was Chops really theme park material? The guy who waves a flag in one video game and literally nothing else? In the LEGO sets? Move over, King K. Rool. We gotta make room for the new stars of the Donkey Kong franchise, like Daddy Shark and this mole here. Now there's 2 possibilities. One is optimistic, and the other, well, I would unfortunately say it's realistic. Let's start with the happy outcome. Nintendo is in the process of a major relaunch of the DK brand. They're investing in movies, theme parks, merchandise, cooking up the most ambitious Donkey Kong game we've seen since 1994. But they're not ready yet. This game is going to be cutting edge, and it never would have worked on the Nintendo Switch. So they bided their time. Within the next year, Donkey Kong fans are set to feast on whatever they're cooking. A bold new direction for the series. The return of the... Alright, let's get real here. The only concrete data we have to work on is what Nintendo has done in the past. Ever since the Rare buyout, they've been spinning in circles trying to figure out what Donkey Kong should be. There were bongo games, nipple climbers, and a return to form that, while excellent in its own right, left so many beloved elements of the series absent. All the while, DK provides some extra marketability to Mario titles. Mario even kicked Donkey Kong down a peg in his own series, changing the name from Donkey Kong to Mario vs. Donkey Kong. They let Activision work on some prototypes for a 3D adventure, but that blew up in typical Activision fashion around 2016. This reset the clock on Donkey Kong development. It's almost been a decade since. Not only did they need 3 to 5 years to make a new HD DK game, they also needed well over 100 people who were up to the task. Were they going to be British, American, Japanese? Do they understand the appeal of Donkey Kong? Are we about to enter another experimental era? Who knows? Despite tons of rumors floating around, every Nintendo Direct ends in the same way.
Regret.
You would imagine they want to make some actual games if Donkey Kong is going to be in the movies, theme parks, and on the shelves of Target, but shouldn't they at least be talking about something new? The Nintendo Switch will go down in history as the first console to lack an original Donkey Kong game. That's sad. It's like a whole Pokemon generation being wiped from existence. Maybe that's not such a bad idea. So we have a pretty bleak picture here. I see 2 tiny glimmers of hope though. Nintendo just opened up their History Museum in Japan, and while I haven't been there myself, I've seen pictures floating around of Rare-era Donkey Kong. At least in this context of the museum, they're proud of the work that Rare did, even having an old-school K. Rool render. Yeah, you can see him right there in between Super Saiyan Mario Cat and a car with eyeballs.
More importantly, to understand where Donkey Kong will go, we must examine where he's been.
Donkey Kong has often been a showcase for new hardware. The Famicom was specifically designed to bring Donkey Kong into the living room. Donkey Kong 94 was a showcase of the Super Game Boy, and Donkey Kong Country was used to breathe a second life into the struggling Super Nintendo. In the 64 era, Donkey Kong 64 was the last bang they had with the expansion pack bundled into the game to put this. Well, you know, the 64 still crashed and burned, but, you know, here we are. It's a franchise consistently used to showcase the power of whatever new box Nintendo is selling, though that role has certainly diminished since the GameCube. That being said, they have much bigger things to worry about with the release of the next Switch. The real difficulty isn't in competing with PlayStation, but rather in convincing the gigantic number of Switch owners that they actually need to upgrade. What better franchise to do that with than their old, reliable friend?
Hey, speaking of that new Switch, let's check out that trailer.
Oh, this is kind of cool. It is. Alright, I got nothing. I have no idea what's going on with DK. I mean, the theme park is branded to the gills with the Donkey Kong that we know, but they're putting this other one into Mario Kart? And look at this merch! We have two different Kongs!
I don't know what's real anymore. We're gonna have to talk about this.
So there's a lot of chatter about the Donkey Kong revamp, and by chatter I mean the literal gnashing of teeth. I saw it and, didn't think much of it and moved on with my day, but then I went on to Reddit. My goodness, the whole subreddit was on fire. I've seen some YouTube takes as well, and it seems that this design is not one cool Kong, according to the masses.
I do feel the need to clear up a couple of common points I've been seeing, though.
Number one, this design wasn't based on the movie. The movie was based on the design. Sure, they had the movie in mind, but this Donkey Kong just looks like a modern iteration of Donkey Kong 94. Two, a lot of people are saying this was probably done to make DK more expressive. Or expressive? Did you see Donkey Kong in the Smash trailers?
Now I'm reserving my personal judgment for this design for a later date when I see more of it, but I'm more so just taken aback at how strange this move is.
This comes on the back of new merchandise sporting the same look. It doesn't seem like a huge change when you're comparing the Mario-style illustrations, but boy does it make a statement in-game. If this design sticks, are they going to split the Donkey Kong brand from the Donkey Kong Country brand? I've noticed Nintendo sometimes making the distinction in merchandising.
My guess would be that in games like Mario vs. Donkey Kong or Mario Party, we're going to be seeing this guy.
This isn't exactly unprecedented either. Donkey Kong 94 and Donkey Kong Country showcase two pretty different interpretations of the character within the same year.
One thing I feel pretty sure of, however, is that the Kevin Bayliss design we all know and love isn't going anywhere.
Unfathomable amounts of money have been spent getting the brand ready for Universal. Everything from the renders and the marketing material to the Donkey Kong suit, they all exhibit the rare look. The Mario movie was in production at the same time with the same company, so if they were going to totally replace that version of Donkey Kong, I think they would have done it already.
That's what makes this all the more confusing. It would have made sense to completely reimagine the brand before you made the theme park.
What little sense of brand identity that Donkey Kong had has just been split again. Honestly, I'm not opposed to a new design. I mean, good luck with surpassing Peak, but I'm open to new things. Still, we're left with this new question of just who Donkey Kong is going forward. Is he a goofy Mario Kart character? A hardcore platforming graphical powerhouse? Something new entirely? Will the Kremlings or Donkey Kong Jr. ever see the light of day again?
This is an absolute mess, but this is Donkey Kong right now. I guess I'll tag along for the ride. Yeah. They just come out with Donkey Kong Country Returns HD? Man, I can't wait to dive back into this game in full HD with no waggle controls, and they got the 3DS levels too. This should be a hit. Hey Matthew, they fixed the co-op problem from the 3DS version, right? Right?